Witness will swear before the chamber according to his religion. We also have a reserve witness today, that is to TCW 894, and this witness confirms that to his best knowledge, he has no relationship by blood or by law to any of the two accused, that is Nunchi and Kyo Sumpon, or to any of the civil parties admitted in this case. The witness will take an oath this morning before the Iron Club statue. President, thank you, Ms. Jie Su Huang. The Chamber now decides on the request by Nuon Chie. The Chamber has received a waiver from Nuon Chie, dated 13 January 2016, which states that due to his health, headache, back pain, he cannot sit or concentrate for long, and in order to effectively participate in future hearings, he requests to waive his right to participate in and be present at the 13 January 2016 hearing. Having seen the medical report of Nuon Chie by the duty doctor for the accused at ECCC, dated 13 January 2016, which notes that Nuon Chie has chronic back pain when he sits for long, and he also feels dizziness, and recommends that the chamber grant him his request so that he can follow the proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs. Based on the above information and pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber grants Nuon Chie his request to follow today's proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs via audio-visual means. The chamber instructs the AV unit personnel to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that Nuon Chie can follow. This applies to the whole day. Court officer, please usher the witness into the courtroom. President, good morning, Madam Witness. What is your name? Witness, my name is Matso. President, when you are summoned, your full name is Ahmad Sophia, Is that your name or you are another person? Witness. Because my full name is rather long, so I shorten it to Matso. President, thank you. And have you ever been interviewed by investigators of the Office of the Co-Investigating Judges of the ECCC? Answer, yes, I was interviewed in Kampong Cham. Question, and when you were interviewed, which name that you gave to the investigator? Answer, it was Ahmad Sophia. Question, and what is the reason for you to shorten your name from Ahmad Sophia to Matso? Answer, because my full name is difficult to pronounce, and that is the reason that I shorten it to Matso. Question, do you have a Khmer identity card? Maybe you obtained this card during the last few years. The government actually provides the Khmer identity card to the residents like Khmer and Cham people in Cambodia. Have you obtained one? Answer, yes, I do. Question, and what is your official name on the identity card? Answer, I use Matso as my name. President, thank you then, Madame Matso. And do you recall when you were born? Answer, I was born in 1961. Question, is that correct that you said you were born in 1961? Answer, yes. Question, and where were you born? Answer, I was born in Ksat Pro Chek Kondal village. Question, and in which commune, district or province? I was born in Ksat Pro Chek Kondal village, Krochma commune, Krochma district, Kampong Cham province, which is now Tabong Khmum province. President, where is your current address? Answer, presently I live in Ksat Pro Chek Kondal village, Krochma commune, Krochma district, Tabong Khmum province. Question, what is your current occupation? Answer, I am a rice farmer. Question, what are the names of your parents? Answer, my father is Mat So. And my mother is Nop So. And what is your husband's name and how many children do you have? Answer, my husband is Sof Mat and we have 9 children. We have 9 children altogether. President, thank you. Madam Matso, the greffier made an oral report that to your best knowledge, you are not related by blood or by law to any of the two accused, that is Nguyen and Khieu Sampon, or to any of the civil parties admitted in this case. Is this information correct? Answer, yes, it is correct. Question, and Madame Matso, what is your religion? Answer, I am an Islamic believer. President, thank you. And the greffier, Mr. Ji Xiu Huang, you instructed to lead the witness for swearing. You may proceed with it. Greffier, Madam Witness, I now proceed with the swearing words. Please place your hand on the Holy Quran before you. I will read out the swearing words and please repeat after me. I would like to answer only the truth from what I witnessed, heard, know, and remember. In the name of an Islamic believer who have only Allah as God and Muhammad as Allah's messenger, and the Holy Quran as the guideline for me to follow. I would like to swear in front of the Holy Quran Wallahi Billahi, which verify that all what I am going to say is true. President, thank you, Ms. Ji Xiu Huang. The chamber now would like to inform you, Madam Witness, of your right and obligation. Madam Matso, as a witness in the proceedings before the chamber, you may refuse to respond to any question or to make any comment which may incriminate you. That is your right against self-incrimination. As for your obligations as a witness in the proceedings before the chamber, you must respond to any questions by the bench or relevant parties, except where your response or comment to those questions may incriminate you, as the chamber has just informed you of your rights as a witness. You must tell the truth that you have known, heard, seen. Remember the experience or observed directly about an event or occurrence relevant to the questions that the bench or parties pose to you. And Madam Matso, have you been interviewed by investigators or the office of the co-investigating judges? If so, how many times, when, and where? Witness, I was requested for an interview for one time in Kampong Cham, and I was interviewed twice in Trier village. Question, before you appear before the chamber, have you read, reviewed, or have them read out to you? I refer to the 3 written records of your interviews that you provided to the investigators in order to refresh your memory. And I have not read them all, but my husband read them aloud to me, and I can recall parts of those statements, as it happened a long time ago. Questioned, your husband read those statements out to you. Do the statements reflect the words that you used when you were interviewed by investigators at Kampong Cham and in Trier village? The written records consistent with what you said? Answer. Some are accurate and some are not really accurate, but rather consistent. President, pursuant to Rule 91B of the ECCC, the Chamber hands the floor first to the co-prosecutors to put the questions before other parties, and the combined time for the co-prosecutors and the lead co-lawyers for civil parties is 2 sessions. And the Deputy National Co-Prosecutor, you have the floor. Co-Prosecutor, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, everyone in and around the courtroom. My name is Seng Liang. I am a National Deputy Co-Prosecutor. Good morning, Madam Witness. I have some questions to put to you. And again, good morning, Madam Witness. My first line of questions is the following. I'd like to ask you about where you were before the arrival of the Khmer Rouge in your commune. Can you tell the chamber where were you living? Answer. When the Khmer Rouge entered my area, I was in the cooperative working in the rice fields. Question. Do you recall when the Khmer Rouge came to control your area? Answer. It was in 1978, says the witness. Question. I understand that this event happened a long time ago. Can you please try to recall the date or the year again? Was it in 1978, 1975, or maybe earlier than that? Answer. No, they were not there in 1975, but they were in 1978. Question. I would like you to try to remember again because the Khmer Rouge regime started from the 17th April 1975 and lasted on the 6th of January 1979. So please try to think again as to which year the Khmer Rouge came to control your area. President witness, please observe the microphone. President, National Deputy Co-Prosecutor, please repeat your last question and please try to simplify your questions. It seems that the witness does not have a greater knowledge. Maybe she's not that well educated. You may probably it's better for you to actually mention a year, and if you ask for her lengthy comment, maybe she doesn't understand that. Deputy Co-Prosecutor, thank you, Mr. President. And Madam Witness, do you know when the lunar regime fell? Answer, no, I cannot recall that. Question. Can you tell the chamber where you were when the Khmerus came to take control of your area? Answer. At that time I was in Kandal, in Krochma, and later on I was evacuated. Question. Allow me to try again regarding the year. Between 1970 and 1975, where did you live? Answer. I was in Kandal village, Krochma commune. Question. And between 70 to 1975, did the Khmer come to control your area? Answer. Yes, they did. And we were evacuated to Krochma area. And I was relocated to Trier village. Actually, their plan was to kill us.
Question. So you mean that between 1970 and 75, the Khmer Rouge already occupied your area? Is that correct? Answer. Yes, that's correct. Question. Could you tell the chamber that between 1970 and 75, how many families lived in Kandal village? Answer. I did not know how many families lived in the village because at that time I was very young. Question. To refresh your memory, I will read from a document. It is E3 5194. the written record of from the office of the co-investigating judge in Khmer is 0020, and in English it is 00747006, and in French 00268837. In that document, you said that you were born in Kandal, and at that time you were 14 years old when the Khmer Rouge arrived, and you were still studying at that time, and the Khmer Rouge ordered you to stop studying. So what I just read to you, can it refresh your recollection? Answer: yes, it was like what you just read. Question: a little bit earlier you told the presiding judge that you were born in 1960. Is that correct? Answer: no, I said that I was born. I was not clear about the year I was born. Maybe in 1961. Question: if you were born in 1961, so when you turn 14, it means that when the Khmer Rouge arrived in your area, it was in 1973. So is this correct? Answer: I'm not quite sure about this because I was young at that time. And question: so from my calculation, it should be in 1975 when the Khmer Rouge arrived in your area. Answer: I'm not quite sure about this point. Question: it is all right, Madam Witness. Now I will ask you about the situation before the arrival of the Khmer Rouge and after the arrival of the Khmer Rouge. Before the arrival of the Khmer Rouge in your village, could you tell us about the living conditions of Cham people in your Kandal village? President: Madam Witness, please hold on. The floor now is given to Counsel Victor Kope. You may now proceed.
I've been listening for a while now to the questions of the National Co-Prosecutor, but I'm not even sure what it means when he says when the Khmer Rouge arrived. It seems to be the case that this particular area came under the control of the National United Front in 1970, and that obviously in 1975 the Lon Nol regime fell. So asking this witness when the Khmer Rouge arrived is not only historically completely inaccurate, but it's also confusing. And I think if we're talking about this particular district or area where this witness is living in, the National Co-Prosecutor should be really a little bit more historically accurate.
National Co-Deputy Co-Prosecutor. Thank you for your comments. Now I will rephrase my questions because the witness found it difficult to remember the exact date when the Lunol regime collapsed and when the Khmer Rouge regime started to take control of her area. That's why I faced some challenges in asking about the specific date for the facts. President, since you face with this kind of challenges, that's why Counsel Victor Kope asked you to rephrase the questions and be specific on the specific time when the political development in the country took place. Because if you talk about the Khmer Rouge, it's so broad. The Communist Party started from 1951. So if you talk about the Khmer Rouge, regarding the temporal aspect, it's so broad. So you need to ask specific questions that refer to specific temporal aspects of the Khmer Rouge regime. So we need to be careful with our questions because we don't have much time in this proceeding. National Co-Deputy Prosecutor. Thank you, Mr. President. Now I will rephrase my question. I will specify the time frame to the witness. Madam Witness, could you please tell us that between 1970 to 1975, how many Cham families lived in the village? Answer. At that time, people in my village were all evacuated. Question. Madam Witness, I ask you the time period between 1970 and 1975. That is before the 17th April 1975. I just want to know how many Cham families living in your village. Answer. At that time, the Cham families were all evacuated away from the village, and I could not remember clearly what year it took place. Question. You said that the Cham family had already been evacuated away from the village. Could you tell us what year it happened? Answer. I was too young to remember the time when they were evacuated. Question. I have a number of other questions to pose to you. Between 1970 to 1975, villagers in your village, particularly the Cham people, what were their occupation? Answer. They were evacuated away and we faced suffering. Question. At that time, were the Cham people allowed to speak Cham language or wore Cham clothes or practice Cham tradition between 1970 to 1975? Answer. I could not remember the year but we were ordered to cut our hair short, and our religious practices were abolished. Question. Before the evacuation of people from your village, did they allow the Cham people to speak Cham language, wear Cham clothes, or practice Cham religions? Answer. No, they did not allow us to practice Cham religion. We all were ordered to wear black clothes. Question. From the time when the Cham people were evacuated from your village, was the living condition of Cham people better than before or harder? Answer. When we were evacuated from the village, we were ordered to grow cane tree, and we ate sugar cane tree, and we ate only porridge, and the living condition was very difficult. Question. Did they allow the Cham people to speak Cham language or wear Cham clothes? Answer. No. We were ordered to speak Khmer language. And regarding the clothes, it's also the same like other people. Question. What about religion? Did they allow you to practice your religion? Answer. No. Question. Were the Cham women allowed to keep their hair long? Answer. No. We were all ordered to cut our hair short. Question. Now we turn to the time during the Tribunal regime. Were people in your village allowed to speak Cham language, wear Cham clothes, or practice Cham religion? Or Cham women were allowed to keep their hair long? Answer. At that time I was very young. But as far as I can remember, we were allowed to wear our traditional clothes and keep our hair long. Question. So you mean that during the Democratic Cambodia regime between 1975 and 1979, the living condition of the Cham people changed. Is that correct? Answer. I could not get your question. Could you please repeat your question? President, National Co-Deputy Prosecutor, could you please rephrase your question and be more specific and precise about your question, because I think your question is a little bit vague. National Co-Deputy Prosecutor. Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Witness, I would like you to compare the living condition of Cham people during the Lunar regime and during the Democratic Cambodia regime, whether the living condition of the Cham people became harder or what? Answer. Yes, sir, during the Khmer Rouge regime, life was difficult. Question. Now I turn to the another subject related to the evacuation of people from your village. Do you remember when the people from your village were evacuated away? What month or year it was? Answer. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you what year or month it was because the situation at that time was so confusing. Question. After people from Cham people from your village were evacuated away, were Cham people from other village evacuated into your village? No. No, there weren't. There were only Khmer people brought into my village. Question. After the evacuation of people from your village, could you tell us how many Cham family were there at that time? Answer. No, I did not know how many families there were at that time. And now I become old, I cannot recall this question. Are you familiar with a Cham woman who also lived in your village during the Khmer Rouge regime? Her name is No Sata. Are you familiar with this name? Answer. Yes, I know No Sata. Now she lives in Svai Klang. Question. Did she live in your village? Did she live with you in your village after the evacuation or she lived somewhere else? Answer. Yes, she was in my mobile unit. And then we were all evacuated to Tier 2. That was the place where they had a plan to kill us. Question. You said that you were assigned to work in the mobile unit. Could you tell us when it was? Answer. I could not remember the month or the year. I remembered only that when the Khmer Rouge arrived, and then I was separated from my parents and I was assigned to work in the mobile unit for the whole regime. Question. Thank you for your answer. Now I have another question related to the arrival of the Southwest cadre in your village. Do you still remember the event of their arrival? Answer. No, I cannot remember the months or the year when they came. I knew that the Southwest cadre came in, but I could not remember the month and the year. Question. You said that you knew the arrival of the Southwest cadre in your village, but you could not remember the time when they arrived. Could you tell us that before the arrival of the Southwest cadres, and if we compare the situation after their arrival, was the living condition of Cham people became more difficult or became more oppressed than before their arrival? Answer. Yes, it became more difficult. We faced a lot of suffering and hardship. Question. Could you tell us how hard it was? Answer. It's difficult in all aspects, including eating and other things. And we were separated from our parents. Question. When the Southwest cadre arrived, what did they do to identify who were Cham, who were Khmer? Answer. President, Madam Witness, please hold on. The chamber now give the floor to the Defense Counsel for Khieu Samphan. You may now proceed.
Yes, good morning, Mr. President. Thank you. I'm obliged now to react because we're facing here a series of leading questions. So I think that the co-prosecutor should make an effort to put open questions to the witness. The last question already had the answer included in the way it was formulated.
National Co-Deputy Prosecutor. Mr. President, I only asked the question about the methods that the Khmer Rouge cadre used to identify who were the Cham and who were the Khmer. I did not ask her to give the answer yes or no. President, the objection by the Defense Counsel for Mr. Khieu Samphan is overruled. Madam Witness, you can answer this question if you can remember. Otherwise, the National Co-Deputy Prosecutor, you can rephrase your question. Prosecutor, Madam Witness, could you tell the chamber what were the methods that the Southwest cadre used to identify who were Khmer people and who were Cham people? Answer. At that time, we were evacuated to 3P, and they asked us who were Cham, who were Khmer. So we were asked when we arrived at 3P.
What do you hear? Oh, sorry. Am I on? Can I be heard? Yeah. In English, the question is perfect. What the question asked was perfectly open. There was no direction of a leading question. So perhaps there's an interpretation issue.
No.
No, I don't believe that it's a problem of interpretation. It is that before he putting the question about how the people were separated, I did not hear the witness speak about a separation between the Cham and the Khmer. So the question arrived a little bit too quickly, I believe. But I see that this does not pose a problem to anyone, so therefore I will sit down again. But however, I believe that when you put questions to someone, there should be a logical pathway.
ជួយតទៀតឲ្យជំនះបដិសេធ
President, the chamber already object the objection by the by the defense counsel for Khieu Samphan. This is the decision that the chamber already made. National Co-Deputy Prosecutor, Madam Witness, I would like to read a document from E3 530.1, which came from the hearing of the testimony by a witness named Nosata. At 1354, President Counsel Kong Samon President, thank you. Co-prosecutor, could you please repeat the document number? If you use English, please use in English. If you use in Khmer, please read in Khmer. Please do not mix them together. Co-prosecutor, there is confusion in this matter. Is E1/350.1. It is at 15 hour 54 minutes 46 seconds. Eon in Khmer 0153294. I do not have its eon in English, and I would like to quote: the Southwest Cadre ordered the local people to gather the people. The village chief came to identify who were Cham people. They ordered the village chief to report to the Southwest Cadre. And the district chief ordered to make statistic of who were Cham and made list and report the list to them. So, end of quote, free translation. So, based on my reading, do you have any reactions?
Answer, yes, that is correct. President, hold on, Deputy Co-Prosecutor and Counsel Antakuse, you have the floor.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, I am obliged to object to the co-prosecutor's approach in examining this witness. Instead of asking how the events occurred, the co-prosecutor is merely quoting the statement of another witness and asking the witness to react to that. If that person has come to testify, that the witness should testify as to what he knows and not simply react to what another witness stated.
Deputy Co-Prosecutor, Mr. President, in fact, before that, I asked an open question whether the Southwest cadres, after their arrival, actually carried out their searches to find who were Khmer and who were Cham. And her response was far from my question, and in order to aid her memory, I put another question, that is to read portion of the transcript of the 28th, and that's how I put questions to the witness. President, Deputy Co-Prosecutor, you may misunderstand. In fact, such a proceeding is allowed. However, the information in a statement of another witness, you cannot put it straight to the current witness. You need first to ask a question on that topic, and after that you can put a statement of another witness and ask her to react if they are from the same area or they were of the same time period. And as the witness testified, her situation was rather different from the situation of the witness whose statement you quoted. So for that reason, what you did is a bit far from our current practice. Deputy Co-Prosecutor, thank you, Mr. President. In the interest of time, I now move to another subject. Madam Witness, a while ago, I asked you whether you were assigned to work in a mobile unit, and you said yes. Is my understanding correct? Answer, yes, it is correct. Question, can you recall when you returned to Ksai Pracheh Kandal village? Answer, I did return to the village, but I cannot recall the month of the year. However, by the time I returned, my parents had been collected and placed in a location not to be killed. I myself was relocated to Triatu, a village, for the purpose of being killed. Question, when you returned to your village, what did you observe? What was your observation of the number of the Cham families still remained in your village? Answer, no, I cannot recall that, because I was part of a mobile unit, and when I returned, I could only stay for a night. Then we were divided into a male group and female group, and my parents were gathered up to be sent away to be killed, while I myself was sent to Tri village, and they actually planned to kill us all. Question, how long after your arrival in your village were you called to be relocated to Tri village? Answer, it was 3 days after. Question, and did you know the cadre who actually instructed you to relocate in Trier village. Where were you called to before you were sent to Trier village? Was a meeting held where such information was informed? Answer: no, there was no meeting held. After the parents were sent away, we from the mobile unit were instructed to relocate to Trier village, and we were instructed to live in a house where there were armed guards there. Question: let me backtrack a little bit before you were sent there. Were all the family members in your family sent to Trier village, or how were you divided up? Whether you were sent to Trier while other members of your family were sent elsewhere? Answer: yes, I can do that. After I returned from the mobile unit, my brothers and my father were called to be sent, and that was the first batch. And on the second day, we, the women, were sent, and they said that the male group was sent first in order to prepare houses for us, the women. And later on we said that for members of the mobile unit needed not to go there, but we had to go to Trier village. In fact, we were told to Kosam Raung, but we were not sent to Kosam Raung, but to Trier 2 village. Question: when you were sent to Trier village, how many of you were sent at that time? Answer: there were about 30 people who were placed in that house, and we were all jammed. Question: I don't understand your response. You said that there was a house full of people. Whose house are you referring to? Answer: I said that we were placed in a house, that is, we members of the mobile unit were placed in a house, and there were about 30 of us. And that house was the kind of a detention house or detention place. Here I refer to 30 members from the mobile unit, not 30 members of my family. Question: and can you recall what time you arrived in Trier village? Answer: it was around 4 o'clock when we arrived. However, this is approximate only, as we did not have any watch to refer to. Question: if you are not sure about the time, was it dark when you arrived, or there was still daylight left? Answer: no, it was not really dark yet. And when we were there, it was not yet the night time, and I saw them sharpen their knife. Question: upon your first arrival in Trier village, what were you instructed to do? Answer: we were told to go up to that house. Then they closed the windows and the door, And we, about 30 of us, were detained on that house. And there were some of them who were staying adjacent or next to the house where we were detained, and they were armed. We were not allowed to get out of that house. Question: can you tell the chamber what happened next? Answer: when the night was about to fall, they stripped some pieces of cloth, and they went up the house, and they actually instructed us to be tied up. The 30 of us did not know how to react. We only looked at each other's faces and kept quiet. We could not do anything, and then they simply tied us all up. Question: how many of them who went up to that house, did they ask you any question? Answer: yes, they did ask us questions. Actually, before they tied us up, they sharpened their knives, and then they spoke to each other that tonight we have a lot of big pigs, so we have to sharpen our knives. Later on, they made strips from cloth. They went up the house and instructed us to be tied up. I was pretty small then, and then they asked, they shouted whether everyone was tied up, and then I said I was not tied up yet. They noticed that, and then they said that I was a good girl. Of course, I did not know where I would flee to, because they were all armed, and there was another group of armed people outside. Question: did they ask you and other Cham people questions? And if so, what were those questions? President's microphone is not on. President, it is now appropriate for a short break. We take a break now and return at 10:30 to resume our proceedings. Court officer, please assist the witness at the waiting room reserved for witnesses and civil parties, and invite her back into the courtroom at 10:30.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ